Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. My name is Wally Scott. Welcome on the show. It's good to be back, really. But I'll read this story first off, and then I'll tell you what I honestly feel about it. 4 athletes were awarded gold cards for emerging the most valuable athletes at the ND Western Making of Champions MOC trials, which took place at the Uniben Sports Complex in Benin City, Edo State at the weekend. The male recipients of the awards are Wilfred Awonusi and Oyin Tombra Bebida, while their female counterparts are Victoria Olani and Glory Aibulefe. Also, 12 athletes got silver cards, most promising athlete awards from MOC's track club's head coach and Olympic medalist Deji Aliu. The male recipients are Victor Garrigon, Emmanuel Jason, Tamutuye Abagua, Okon Sunday, Ubo Wisdom, and Popola Ifedayo, while the female recipients are Chika Bakwaye, Faith Oshanui, Enwogo Eya, Esther Mere, Glory Osareho, and Nse Kefenan. Top 3 finishers in each of the events were also presented medals and goodie bags for their efforts. ND Western's Oil and Gas Corporate Communications Executive Shayo Jimmy Olusheye and the desire of the companies to assist the MOC in discovering talent. As good as this sounds, as fantastic as it seems, I have covered stories like this practically all of my sports career. Nothing comes out of this. You will never hear these names again, ever.
Well,
I might sound very, but that's the way it's been.
Yes, you do sound jaded, but I will point out that the attention paid to sports, young athletes, and the possibilities that sports will offer their potential careers, potential path in life, potential ability to get out of whatever, for some, maybe poverty, for others, just a chance to follow a dream. I think Nigerians, especially parents, have taken greater awareness, greater cognizance of the opportunities that are available in sports and athletics. And I think we have more soccer moms now. We have more parents who want to give and devote everything they have into pushing their children to follow their dreams, to follow their best talents, because some of these young athletes are prodigies. And when the right environment is created, and I think more and more the opportunities are being created by governments, by athletes who themselves have gone to the Olympics, have seen the Western world.
But really, Mukael, is it the problem of the athlete? In the course of working, I met someone who is a barber now in Yanopaja. And he told me that he had a chance to actually be in the under Golden Eaglets at a point. But he couldn't raise the money the coach was asking for. And Taiwo got his spots. He even got his boots too. He actually gave him his boots too. And that was very painful because the particular coach in question, if the guy is speaking the truth, was Samson Siasia. And I was a major fighter for Siasia. Like Siasia will not give, so it depends on, it's unfortunate. This might sound wrong, might come out wrong. But the truth be said, most of these athletes, these footballers who are actually the best legs that we have, never have this money to pay these coaches. So we always go for every competition with our second or even third best legs, because the best legs don't have money. So I think we should start from the guys who are actually putting these people together.
Well,
they have to stop this corruption thing first off.
Well, first of all, I would ask, is it even corruption? Get me right now. If a system leaves a loophole for someone to act in a manner that benefits them, then it means no law is covering their behavior when they choose to do something like that. So can we call it corruption, or can we just call it unethical, immoral? Because even if this story is true regarding Samson,
but we know it's a gist behind the scenes that our coaches tend to.
Yes, we do know that it's true, but at the same time, where are the resources? Where were the resources? Until now, where are the resources expected? Because if the institutions, the federations that are supposed to be pushing outreach with the youth, pushing to invest in the youngsters, if there is enough of an investment, and with investment comes oversight, if all of those things are in place, then we can be certain that situations like these won't happen as much as we've known them to happen. The certainty will be that there will be a chance for the best legs, the best athletes who are pushing themselves to have more than one person looking, assessing their worthiness for the spots that are being given to the second-tier athletes that end up living the lives that these first-rate athletes ought to have been.
Hopefully, we'll hope that our school sports will come back. And but it's not about the school sports. The school sports are still there. The
Yes.
inter-house sports are still there. All those things are still there. Soon on the show, we'll have an inter-house sports. They're still there. But are we going to continue to actually monitor these guys?
Well,
You know, it doesn't
okay.
happen.
For example, when I talk
Nigeria
about
has starting. We don't have finishing.
when we talk about resources, for example, okay, let's say an inter-house sport is hosted in CMS.
And a young man wins gold.
Yes.
Monitor him. Work with him.
Where are the scouts that are aware of every competition happening, every inter-house sport happening in every
Get
school?
something clear. Most of these inter-house sports are being arranged because it's supposed to be a norm. It's supposed to be an annual event. Nobody's actually looking at an athlete that's going to be a star for tomorrow. No, it's just because the school must do it every year.
The schools must do it. The truth is, inter-house sport is not just a way to push the best young athletes out there, to put them in the public spotlight for a future day where they can be called upon. It is principally to get students involved in sports, keep them engaged, and benefit potentially the schools themselves by winning financial prizes. However, these are breeding grounds whereby, scouts and institutions, federations are supposed to constantly have it down on their calendars that we're going to send a scout to this school because there's an inter-house sport going on at this
And
time.
we need to find out.
And we're going to foot the bill of transport. We're going to foot the bill for the day. And we're going to ensure that when they go, the assessment is reviewed. There's going to be footage that is going to later on be passed on to whatever team coach is responsible for whatever game, athletics, sport that those players have been earmarked for.
Okay, we'll continue with that, but hopefully we can actually work on these stars, homegrown stars, grassroots, and hopefully we can work on them and make them stars tomorrow. But this is my topic for today. Politics in sports. For me, it's a bad mix. It's just a bad mix for me. But let's start with one of these stories first off. Diplomats were working to ensure the release of seven-time WNBA All-Star player Brittany Griner after Russia said it had detained the player last month for possession of vape cartridges containing hash oil. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said on Sunday, that's yesterday. Now, the Russian Customs Service, without naming Griner, said on Saturday that it had detained an athlete in February after the player arrived at Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport on a flight from New York. Russian news agency TASS identified the player as Griner, citing a source. Griner's WNBA team, the Phoenix Mercury, said, "We are aware of and are closely monitoring the situation with Brittany Griner in Russia." It was not clear when in February Griner, who plays in Russia during the WNBA's winter off-season, was detained. The player is still in custody and an investigation is underway, the Russian Customs Services said. Now, Griner, who won Olympic gold medals with the U.S. national team in 2006 and 2021, has always handled herself with the utmost professionalism during a long tenure with the USA Basketball Club. Now, LGBTQ rights advocates expressed particular concern for Griner in light of the fact that she is an openly gay woman being detained in a country that has a record of restricting LGBTQ rights. Okay, we'll come to that before the show ends. And of course, the U.S. Secretary of State spoke for Green about politics in sports.
With the situation on the world stage right now, there's every impulse in me to suspect that this is as a means to embarrass the United States. Obviously, these athletes they're not professional legal experts. They're not lawyers. They cannot be conversant of every single law.
They can't translate the law.
Yes. And I've heard of a situation where someone traveled from the US. He had been in an accident years earlier. The accident had left him in debilitating pain. And when he traveled to Dubai, he got arrested for being in possession of tramadol, a substance that was prescribed to him by his doctor
for his pain,
to manage his pain. Now, Dubai has a strict zero tolerance policy on such, but this is a foreigner. The laws have to be maybe not broken, but bent.
There has to be a humane part of the law.
Yes, that's the point of the law. That's the reason why we have humans as judges. We don't have computers strictly passing judgments on people. And if this isn't entirely political, then I don't know why this is even a matter that is exceeding 1 or 2 days of conversation with the athlete, an understanding of why she's in possession of it, and perhaps maybe she's told to leave the country because for whatever reason it doesn't align with the image that the government wants to portray. And certainly they do not want to be seen as being hypocrites, letting this person walk around free with a substance that is banned under the law. But still, the fact that we have to go through this rigmarole, this back and forth where two governments have to get involved to discuss diplomatically. Diplomacy is supposed to be saved for a nuclear war, preventing a nuclear war, preventing a war of any kind, preventing a misunderstanding, war crimes, all of that. But when it's being narrowed down just to an athlete, because she's in possession of something as simple as ash, I have to question the motivation for it.
Okay, we have the video of the Secretary of State of the United States talking about quoting Onoja now. He said he's cooking. So we'll get to that soon. But we can only plead with the Russian government we as sports presenters, we are sports journalists, and these people that we report every day, day in, day out, are just athletes. Like you rightly said, they can't translate the law. We don't care what the law says. We just want to report sports, and they want to just do sports and make us all happy.
It's
really,
true.
Really.
We can beg, but in the history of a lot of these autocratic governments, autocratic administrations around the world, it really doesn't move the needle in their consideration about the situation. Because if you focus on the human element, the human part of this story, it would be an easy decision.
But trust the U.S. press. What they are playing with is, for me, it's not right. But they are playing with the fact that she's actually openly gay.
Yes.
And that's why the Russian government don't like her. They're not looking at the fact that Russia and Ukraine are fighting, and the U.S. have suddenly become
this
Ukrainian
happened
ally.
in February.
In February, yeah.
So before the invasion got into full swing, we can say maybe a couple days before, give or take a couple days between, and at that time it would have been, because as soon as invasion started, administrations of sporting organizations left and right started to ban Russia. So it would have been a critical error on the part of the WNBA to send their athletes into Russia to play a game at that point.
Okay, Blinken spoke with some family members of the lady in question. We'll watch that. We'll come back. That's exactly what the mom just said, what Mikhail just said. She would not knowingly carry an illegal substance. So it must have been not banned, wherever she's coming from, and it was banned there. You can always overlook it.
The truth is, a lot of these situations that we've seen, going beyond the realms of sport right now, a lot of these situations we've seen where Americans are detained in countries like Iran, North Korea, China.
And medical marijuana.
Yes. Regardless of, it's a lot of these stories that come out, we can't even believe them because the media over there is state-run.
Yes.
The government is in full control, and it's usually for, you can bet it's usually for a diplomatic, a political leverage that they're trying to exert. And I would suspect that this is no different. It just happens to be an athlete this time.
Let's try to move forward. There's no way you can live abroad, work abroad, and hear that your country is in turmoil, is at war, and they are killing people like every day. It actually destabilizes you, whether you are an office worker, whether you're an athlete. Let's look at this story first, and then we'll come back. Now, Ukrainian tennis player Diana Yatrenska, who was forced to flee her home after Russia's invasion last week, lost in the Lyon Open final yesterday, March 6th, to China's Zhang Shuai. 21-year-old says she was too emotionally drained to give it her all in the final. The world number 129 won the first set, but eventually lost 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 to 8-seed Zhang Shuai at the WTA 250 event. The Ukrainian, who has won 3 WTA titles, said she would donate her prize money towards aid efforts. Yatrenska and her younger sister Ivana spent 2 nights in an underground car park last week before their parents sent them out of Ukraine by boat to Romania and then onto France. Now, Russia calls its actions in Ukraine a special operation. She was in Ukraine. She was put on a boat by her parents. They left their parents in Ukraine, put on a boat with her sister Ivana. They went from there to Romania, then from Romania to France to play this, and then you expect her to win. Come on.
Last year, Naomi Osaka talked about mental health, and other tennis players came out and backed her. Other athletes from other sports came out and backed her, talking about the strain that their profession puts on their mental well-being and the need to take up greater focus by these institutions, governing bodies. Obviously, that was in a time where there wasn't even war on the collective consciousness.
And our parents are there.
And
she had to go out of there on a boat.
Now, someone like this young, having to deal with such awesome responsibilities, she may never see her parents again.
True.
And so the emotions that happen in times like these go from anger to extreme depression.
But can you ask yourself a question? Could she have avoided this competition in the first place?
She could have, but I think it is extremely, extremely brave of her to try to in the first place. Because life must go on even in the face of war. You must stand up and try to be yourself, to live regardless of the shadows closing in. She must find some light, and I hope she can find it.
Thank you very much. I was going to leave you with Ralph Rangnick and the loss, massive loss to Manchester City. I expected it. I was surprised it was even 4-1. I was expecting like 11-0 or something because they lost too many chances, but these things happen in football. Man, you just have to get their acts together. Thank you very much, Mukail.
Always.
Thank you very much, Sayo. He manned the cameras. You don't see him, he sees us. Thank you very much, Onoja. Thank you very much, Francis Indem. I call him Francois. Thank you very much, Belema, Emeka, David. Thank you very much, Paulo. He always has our back all the time. Join us same time tomorrow. We'll leave you with Lille demolishing Clermont. 4-0. Lille got this one together in the French Le Championnat. My name is Wally Scott. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your hearts, do some sports.